What's up, guys? Today we're going back in time, not with a time machine or anything, but to a time when punishments were brutal, like seriously messed up. We're talking about medieval Europe, where they got creative with cruelty. We're about to uncover the most brutal, the most disgusting, the most insane punishments ever recorded. I'm talking stuff that'll make you cringe, stuff that'll make you glad you live in the 21st century. This is history, guys, but not the boring kind they teach you in school. This is the real deal. So buckle up, smash that like button, and get ready for a wild ride through the darkest depths of history. You won't believe what you're about to see. First up, we've got the breaking wheel, also known as the Catherine wheel. Now this isn't some carnival ride, guys. This thing was designed to inflict the maximum amount of pain imaginable. Imagine being tied spread eagle to a giant wooden wheel, your arms and legs stretched out, completely helpless. Then, the executioner goes to work. Boom! A heavy iron bludgeon slams down on your limbs, shattering your bones one by one. But the torture doesn't stop there. The executioner would keep going, methodically working their way around your body, turning you into a mangled mess of broken bones and torn flesh. And the worst part? The crowd's watching. They've gathered in the town square to witness this gruesome spectacle. The screams, the blood, the sheer brutality of it all. Now you might think death would be a welcome relief at this point, right? Wrong. The breaking wheel was a slow and agonizing death sentence. Once the executioner was done with the bludgeoning, they'd often weave your broken body through the spokes of the wheel. Then, they'd hoist the wheel up on a pole and leave you there to die. You'd be exposed to the elements, the scorching sun, the biting wind, the pouring rain. And all the while, you'd be in unimaginable pain, your broken bones screaming out with every passing moment. Imagine the thirst, the hunger, the sheer terror of being left to die like that. It could take days. Days of agony before death finally brought you peace. Brutal, right? Alright guys, you think the breaking wheel was bad? Buckle up because it's about to get a whole lot worse. Let's talk about rat torture. This one's just straight up messed up. We're talking psychological torture on a whole other level. Imagine this, you're strapped down, completely immobile, no escape. Then they bring out a cage. But this isn't just any cage. This cage houses a hungry, desperate rat. And guess where they put it? That's right, on top of you. They place the cage on your stomach, your chest, even your face. It doesn't matter where, as long as the rat's trapped with you. Now here's where things get really twisted. They start heating the cage. The rat inside starts to panic. It's getting hotter and hotter and there's nowhere to go, except one place. The rat can smell your flesh, feel your warmth. It's driven by pure instinct, pure survival, and it knows the only way out is through you. Imagine the feeling of those tiny claws scraping against your skin, the sheer terror as it burrows into your flesh, desperately seeking escape from the searing heat. This wasn't a quick death, guys. This was a slow, agonizing descent into madness. Alright guys, buckle up because this next one is messed up. The Judas cradle. Imagine a pyramid-shaped seat, but instead of comfort, it's designed for pure agony. We're talking next-level cruelty here. Victims were hoisted up and lowered, very, very slowly, onto this pyramid. The point? You guessed it, right into their... well, you get the idea. This wasn't a quick death, guys. It was prolonged torture at its worst. The pressure would build and build until, well, let's just say it wasn't pretty. And to make matters worse, sometimes they'd add weights to the victim's legs or rock the cradle back and forth. It was brutal, even for the Middle Ages. Now, the Judas cradle wasn't just about inflicting pain. Oh no, these guys were masters of psychological torture too. You see, the victim was often left hanging there for days. Days! Can you imagine the agony, the desperation, the worst part? The wound rarely got infected because the point of the pyramid was actually pretty dull. So they just hung there, suffering. It's enough to make you thankful we live in the 21st century, right? Let's move on. This one is too gruesome. Alright guys, get ready for this one, the brazen bull. Imagine a giant hollow bull statue made entirely of brass. Sounds kinda cool, right? Wrong. This thing was a horrifying torture device. They'd shove a person inside, yep, inside the bull, and then light a fire underneath it. Can you imagine the heat? The suffocating smoke? The victim would be roasted alive. Talk about a cruel and unusual punishment. But wait, there's more. The bull was designed with special acoustics, so the victim's screams would come out sounding like, you guessed it, a bull's roar. I know what you're thinking, how could anyone be so twisted, but it gets worse. Some rulers even had musicians compose music to match the screams. They'd sit there listening to this horrible symphony of pain while enjoying their feast. It's just unimaginable. The brazen bull is a chilling reminder of the darkness that can exist in humanity. It's a story that needs to be told even if it's hard to hear. Alright, let's take a breather for a second. That one was heavy. Okay, we're back with another brutal punishment, the Pear of Anguish. Now the name might sound kind of funny, but trust me, there's nothing funny about this device. Imagine a pear-shaped metal instrument with segments that could be spread open by turning a screw at the top. Sounds innocent enough, right? Wrong. This thing was inserted into various orifices, the mouth, the rectum, you name it, and then they'd start turning that screw. The segments would slowly expand, putting immense pressure on the inside of the victim's body. We're talking excruciating, unimaginable pain. The pair of anguish wasn't just about pain though, it was about causing serious internal damage deep within the body. The expanding segments would tear through flesh, rupture organs, and basically destroy everything in their path, mercilessly. It was a slow, agonizing, and incredibly gruesome way to die, leaving victims in utter despair. And the worst part? Sometimes they wouldn't even kill the victim outright. They'd just leave them permanently disfigured and in constant, unbearable pain. Talk about a fate worse than death, a true nightmare. Alright guys, this next one is messed up, even for medieval times. We're talking about the saw, and it's as straightforward and brutal as it sounds. Imagine being hung upside down, completely helpless, and then they bring out a saw. Not just any saw, but a massive one, like something you'd use to chop down a redwood. They'd start at the groin, sawing downwards, and let me tell you, this wasn't a quick death. The torture could go on for hours, with the victim fully conscious, feeling every excruciating second. Can you imagine the agony? The sheer terror? It's the stuff of nightmares. And the worst part is, this wasn't just about inflicting pain, it was a spectacle. A public display meant to instill fear in anyone who dared to disobey the powers that be. So why hang someone upside down? Well, they weren't stupid, these medieval torturers. They knew a thing or two about anatomy. See, hanging someone upside down keeps the blood flowing to the brain. That's right, it kept the victim conscious longer, prolonging their suffering and making the whole thing even more gruesome. You wouldn't believe the kind of messed up stuff people came up with back then. And you know me, I don't shy away from the gruesome details. We're diving deep into the darkest corners of history, exposing the brutal reality of these punishments. So buckle up, because it's about to get even more intense. We're talking about punishments so brutal, so horrifying, they'd make even the bravest soul shudder. But hey, that's why you watch my channel, right? For the craziest, most unbelievable stuff on the internet. Let's keep going. Alright, this next torture device might be one you've heard of, the Iron Maiden. This infamous contraption has captured the morbid curiosity of many throughout history, and for good reason. Its very name evokes a sense of dread and horror, a chilling reminder of the lengths to which humans have gone to inflict pain and suffering on one another. Sounds kinda metal, right? Well, it's definitely metal, but not the cool kind. The Iron Maiden is a grim relic of a darker time, a time when torture was not just a means of punishment, but a method of instilling fear and maintaining control. Picture this, a giant human-sized metal cabinet. But here's the catch. This isn't just any ordinary cabinet. It's designed to be a prison of unimaginable torment. The exterior might look unassuming, but it's the interior that holds the true horror. The inside is lined with spikes, sharp, rusty spikes, strategically placed to pierce every vital organ in the body. These spikes weren't just randomly positioned, they were meticulously arranged to ensure maximum pain and suffering. Each spike was a calculated instrument of agony, designed to puncture the most sensitive and vital parts of the human anatomy. They'd shove the victim inside, slam the door shut, and let the torture begin. Imagine the sheer terror of being forced into this metal coffin, knowing that once the door closed, there was no escape. The spikes would slowly dig into your flesh, each movement causing excruciating pain as they punctured deeper and deeper. Can you imagine the feeling of those cold metal spikes digging into your flesh? The initial shock of the cold metal, followed by the searing pain as the spikes tore through your skin and muscle. The agony would be relentless, each breath a struggle as the spikes pressed against your lungs and heart. The agonizing pressure as they slowly punctured your lungs, your heart, your everything. The spikes were designed to avoid immediate death, prolonging the suffering for as long as possible. Each moment inside the Iron Maiden was a living nightmare, a testament to the cruelty and ingenuity of those who created it. It's enough to make you want to scream, but even that provided little relief. The Iron Maiden was designed to muffle the screams of its victims, trapping the sound within its metal walls. The screams of agony would echo inside the chamber, a haunting reminder of the suffering taking place within. The Iron Maiden was a slow and agonizing death sentence, designed to inflict maximum pain and suffering. It wasn't just about the physical pain, it was about the psychological torment as well. The knowledge that there was no escape, that death was inevitable but would come slowly and painfully, was a form of torture in itself. The Iron Maiden was more than just a torture device, it was a symbol of power and intimidation. It served as a chilling reminder of what happened to those who dared to cross the wrong people. The very sight of it was enough to instill fear and obedience, a stark warning of the consequences of defiance. It was a symbol of power and intimidation, a chilling reminder of what happened to those who dared to cross the wrong people. The Iron Maiden was not just a tool of torture, but a weapon of psychological warfare. It represented the absolute power of those who wielded it, a power that could crush both body and spirit. The Iron Maiden's legacy is a dark one, a testament to the depths of human cruelty. It stands as a reminder of a time when pain and suffering were used as tools of control, when fear was a weapon wielded by those in power. Today it serves as a grim reminder of the past, a symbol of the horrors that humanity is capable of inflicting on itself. Historical records and illustrations provide a glimpse into the terrifying reality of the Iron Maiden. These documents reveal the meticulous planning and execution that went into its design, highlighting the lengths to which people would go to inflict pain and suffering. The Iron Maiden was not just a device, it was a carefully crafted instrument of terror. Today the Iron Maiden can be found in museums, a relic of a bygone era. Visitors can see firsthand the terrifying device that once struck fear into the hearts of many. It serves as a powerful reminder of the past, a symbol of the cruelty and suffering that humans are capable of inflicting on one another. As we look upon the Iron Maiden today, we are reminded of the importance of compassion and humanity. It stands as a stark contrast to the values we hold dear, a reminder of the darkness that can arise when power is unchecked and cruelty is allowed to flourish. The Iron Maiden is a symbol of the past, but it also serves as a warning for the future. The Iron Maiden's eerie presence in museums today serves as a haunting reminder of the past. Its dark, foreboding appearance is a stark contrast to the modern world, a symbol of the suffering and pain that once plagued humanity. As we move forward, let us remember the lessons of the past and strive to create a world where such horrors are never repeated. The Iron Maiden is a testament to the depths of human cruelty, a symbol of the suffering and pain that can arise when power is unchecked. It serves as a reminder of the importance of compassion and humanity, a call to remember the past and strive for a better future. Let us never forget the lessons of the Iron Maiden, and let us work towards a world where such horrors are a thing of the past. Now here's where it gets really messed up. The spikes in the Iron Maiden weren't designed to kill instantly. Nope, that would be too merciful. Instead, they were strategically placed to cause excruciating pain and a slow, agonizing death. Imagine being trapped inside that thing, the darkness closing in as you bleed out from a dozen different wounds. The blood would pool at the bottom, the stench of iron filling your nostrils, a constant reminder of your impending doom. And the worst part? Sometimes they wouldn't even leave you in there to die. They'd open the doors, pull you out, your body mangled and broken, and then they'd continue the torture with something even worse. This was the brutal reality of medieval punishments, guys. It wasn't just about justice, it was about sending a message, a terrifying message that echoed through the ages. But hey, don't worry, we're just getting started. Alright, we're moving on to another terrifying torture device, one that you might not have heard of, the Scavenger's Daughter. This device, though not as famous as the Iron Maiden or the rack, is equally, if not more, horrifying in its own right. The name itself conjures up images of something sinister and malevolent, and trust me, it lives up to its reputation. And trust me, it's just as messed up as it sounds. The Scavenger's Daughter was invented during the reign of Henry VIII, a time when torture was not just a method of punishment, but also a tool for extracting confessions and instilling fear. The device was named after its inventor, Sir Leonard Skeffington, who was the lieutenant of the Tower of London. The name Scavenger's Daughter is actually a corruption of Skeffington's daughter. Imagine being forced into an iron frame, shaped like a giant A, your head at the top, feet at the bottom. The design of the device was deceptively simple, yet its effects were devastating. The victim would be placed in a crouched position with their knees drawn up to their chest and their arms bound tightly around their legs. The iron frame would then be closed around them, forcing their body into an unnatural and excruciatingly painful position. This thing wasn't about drawing and quartering you, oh no. This was a whole different kind of messed up. Unlike other torture devices that aimed to tear the body apart, the Scavenger's Daughter was designed to compress it. The idea was to create as much internal pressure as possible, causing immense pain and suffering without necessarily breaking the skin. It was a method of torture that was as much psychological as it was physical. You see, they would crank it down, tighter and tighter, compressing your body in ways it was never meant to bend. The more the device was tightened, the more unbearable the pain became. The victim's bones would be forced to grind against each other, and their internal organs would be slowly crushed. The pressure on the chest would make it difficult to breathe, and the spine would be under constant strain. We're talking bones grinding against each other, organs slowly being crushed. The pain would be unimaginable, and the longer the torture continued, the more severe the damage to the body would become. Victims would often pass out from the pain, only to be revived and subjected to more torture. The psychological torment of knowing that the pain would continue indefinitely was almost as unbearable as the physical agony. Your spine would scream in protest, your chest would feel like it was caving in. The pressure on the spine could cause permanent damage, leading to paralysis or other long-term disabilities. The chest would be under such immense pressure that it could cause the ribs to crack or even puncture the lungs. The pain would be so intense that it would be difficult to think about anything else, and the victim's mind would be consumed by the agony. Imagine that kind of pressure, that kind of agonizing pain, and it just keeps going and going. The scavenger's daughter was designed to be a slow, drawn-out form of torture, one that could last for hours or even days. The victim would be left in the device for extended periods of time, with the pressure gradually increasing until it became unbearable. The pain would be relentless, and there would be no escape from it. The scavenger's daughter wasn't a quick death. Oh no, this was a slow, drawn-out torture designed to break your body and your mind. The psychological impact of the torture was just as significant as the physical pain. The victim would be left in a state of constant fear and anxiety, knowing that the torture could continue at any moment. The mental anguish of being trapped in such a device with no hope of escape would be enough to drive anyone to the brink of madness. And as if that wasn't bad enough, it gets even worse. The scavenger's daughter was often used in conjunction with other forms of torture, such as the rack or the Iron Maiden. Victims would be subjected to multiple forms of torture, each one designed to inflict maximum pain and suffering. The combination of physical and psychological torment would be enough to break even the strongest of wills. The scavenger's daughter was a truly horrifying device, one that serves as a grim reminder of the cruelty and brutality of the past. The scavenger's daughter is a stark example of the lengths to which humans have gone to inflict pain and suffering on one another. It is a testament to the dark side of human nature and a reminder of the importance of compassion and empathy. While we may never fully understand the mindset of those who designed and used such devices, we can learn from the past and strive to create a more just and humane world. Historical records show that the scavenger's daughter was used primarily during the Tudor period, a time of great political and religious upheaval. It was often used to extract confessions from prisoners, many of whom were accused of treason or heresy. The device was a tool of oppression, used to silence dissent and maintain control. The fear of being subjected to such torture was enough to keep many people in line, and those who did speak out often paid a heavy price. The Tower of London, where the scavenger's daughter was most commonly used, remains a symbol of this dark chapter in history. Today, it stands as a museum, a place where visitors can learn about the past and reflect on the progress we have made. The scavenger's daughter is a reminder of the importance of human rights and the need to protect them. It is a symbol of the suffering that can result from unchecked power and the importance of holding those in authority accountable. In today's world, we must continue to fight for justice and equality and ensure that such atrocities are never repeated. The scavenger's daughter serves as a powerful reminder of the need for vigilance and the importance of standing up against injustice. By learning from the past, we can work towards a future where such cruelty is a thing of the past, and where compassion and empathy guide our actions. As we remember the victims of the scavenger's daughter and other forms of torture, let us honor their suffering by committing to a more just and humane world. Let their pain not be in vain, but serve as a catalyst for change. Together, we can build a future where such devices are relegated to the pages of history, and where the dignity and rights of all people are respected and upheld. The scavenger's daughter is a dark chapter in our history, but it is also a reminder of the resilience of the human spirit. Despite the suffering and pain the victims of such torture endured, their stories live on, inspiring us to strive for a better world. Let us take their lessons to heart and work towards a future where compassion, empathy, and justice prevail. In the end, the scavenger's daughter is more than just a torture device. It is a symbol of the enduring struggle for human rights and dignity. It reminds us of the importance of standing up against oppression and fighting for a world where everyone is treated with respect and compassion. Let us honor the memory of those who suffered by continuing to work towards a brighter, more just future for all. As the scavenger's daughter tightened its grip, it would force your body into unnatural positions, contorting you until you could barely breathe. This device, a cruel invention of the medieval era, was designed to inflict maximum pain and suffering. Imagine being placed in a metal frame that slowly compresses your body, bending your spine and crushing your organs. The pain would be excruciating, every joint and bone in your body screaming in agony. The scavenger's daughter was not just a tool of torture, it was a methodical instrument of terror, meant to break both body and spirit. Your lungs, crushed beneath the weight of your own ribs, would struggle to draw in air. Each breath would become a battle, a desperate fight for survival. The pressure on your chest would be relentless, making it feel as though a massive weight was pressing down on you. The sensation of suffocation would be constant, a reminder of your helplessness. The scavenger's daughter was designed to make you feel every moment of your suffering, to ensure that you were acutely aware of your impending doom. Imagine the panic, the desperation as you gasp for breath, each inhale a tiny victory against the crushing pressure. Your mind would race, thoughts of escape and survival flooding your consciousness, but there would be no escape, no relief from the torment. The fear of suffocation would be overwhelming, driving you to the brink of madness. The Scavenger's Daughter was a psychological weapon as much as a physical one, designed to break your will and leave you a shell of your former self. And as your body screamed for mercy, your torturers would watch, sometimes for hours, reveling in your agony. They would take pleasure in your suffering, seeing it as a form of entertainment. The sight of your contorted body, the sound of your labored breathing, and the look of sheer terror on your face would be a source of amusement for them. The cruelty of the medieval torturers knew no bounds, and they would often prolong your suffering for their own twisted enjoyment. The goal wasn't always to kill, you see. Sometimes it was to extract confessions, to break your spirit, to leave you a whimpering, shattered mess. The Scavenger's Daughter was a tool of coercion, used to force prisoners to confess to crimes they may not have committed. The pain and suffering inflicted by the device would make even the strongest individuals beg for mercy, willing to say anything to make the torment stop. The psychological trauma of the experience would leave lasting scars long after the physical wounds had healed. Sometimes it was to extract confessions, to break your spirit, to leave you a whimpering, shattered mess. The Scavenger's Daughter was a tool of coercion, used to force prisoners to confess to crimes they may not have committed. The pain and suffering inflicted by the device would make even the strongest individuals beg for mercy, willing to say anything to make the torment stop. The psychological trauma of the experience would leave lasting scars long after the physical wounds had healed. And if you were lucky enough to survive the ordeal, the physical and mental toll would be immense. Your body would be left broken, your spirit shattered. The scars of the experience would stay with you for the rest of your life, a constant reminder of the horrors you endured. The Scavenger's Daughter was not just a tool of torture, it was a weapon of psychological warfare, designed to leave you a broken, defeated shell of your former self. Well, let's just say the damage inflicted by the Scavenger's Daughter was often irreversible. The physical injuries would be severe, leaving you with permanent disabilities. The psychological trauma would be even more profound, affecting every aspect of your life. The experience would haunt you, a constant reminder of the cruelty and inhumanity of your torturers. The Scavenger's Daughter was a tool of pure evil, designed to inflict maximum pain and suffering on its victims. You'd be left disfigured, crippled, a walking reminder of the price of defiance. The scars on your body would be a testament to the horrors you endured, a visible reminder of the cruelty of your torturers. The psychological scars would be even deeper, affecting every aspect of your life. The experience would leave you a broken, defeated shell of your former self, haunted by the memories of the pain and suffering you endured. But hey, we're just scratching the surface here. The Scavenger's Daughter is just one example of the many brutal torture devices used throughout history. There are countless other methods of inflicting pain and suffering, each more horrifying than the last. The cruelty of the human imagination knows no bounds, and the history of torture is a testament to the depths of human depravity. There are even more brutal punishments waiting to be unearthed in the depths of history. From the Iron Maiden to the rack, the history of torture is filled with devices designed to inflict maximum pain and suffering. Each method is a testament to the cruelty and inhumanity of the human imagination, a reminder of the dark side of our nature. The history of torture is a dark and disturbing chapter in the story of humanity, one that we must never forget. Alright guys, buckle up because this next one is messed up, the Spanish donkey. Imagine a wooden frame, right? But not just any frame. This one's got a sharp, triangular edge on top. You guys think sitting on a fence is bad? Try sitting on this thing. Victims were forced to straddle this pointy piece of wood, and to make matters worse, weights were often tied to their feet. Can you imagine the pain? It would be like someone driving a wedge right between your legs. This thing was designed to inflict unimaginable agony, and trust me, it did its job. But wait, there's more. The longer you stayed on, the worse it got. The sharp edge would dig deeper, tearing skin, muscle, anything in its path. Brutal, right? Now you might be thinking, okay, that's bad, but how bad could it really be? Well, my morbidly curious friends, the Spanish donkey was all about customization. Depending on how merciful your torturer was feeling, they could adjust the sharpness of the triangle, add more weight, or even heat the whole contraption up. Imagine that burning, searing pain. This wasn't just about punishment, it was about breaking you, both physically and mentally. And the worst part? Sometimes the torture would last for days. Days, guys. Just let that sink in for a second. Okay, we've seen some crazy stuff so far, but this next one is just plain cruel. The heretic's fork. Imagine a two-pronged fork, but instead of going in your mouth, it went right under your chin. This metal nightmare was designed to keep you from talking, and boy, did it ever. One end was pressed against your chest, while the other jammed into the roof of your mouth, just behind your jaw. Talk about a gag reflex. Even the slightest movement of your head would drive those prongs deeper into your flesh. Imagine the pain, the constant pressure, the inability to swallow or even speak. It'd be enough to drive anyone mad. Now, you might be wondering, why go through all that trouble? Why not just, shut someone up the old-fashioned way? Well, the heretic's fork wasn't just about silencing people, it was about sending a message. It was a symbol of fear, a warning to anyone who dared to speak out against the powers that be. Imagine being paraded through the streets, this metal contraption digging into your flesh, unable to cry out, unable to beg for mercy. The psychological torture was just as bad as the physical pain. It was a slow, agonizing way to break someone's spirit. And that's it for today's deep dive into the dark side of history. We've seen some truly terrifying torture devices, from the bone-crushing breaking wheel to the soul-crushing heretic's fork. It's crazy to think people actually invented these things, let alone use them on other human beings. It just goes to show you, the past was a wild, wild place. Thanks for watching. If you found this video fascinating, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more incredible content. Let us know in the comments which punishment you found the most brutal. See you next time.